So here we are, it's snowing again outside. It's more snow events, not necessarily accumulation, but snow events than I can remember us having here in this part of the valley in at least a decade, maybe two. And we're gonna get started on our plumbing for the day. So today I'm starting on some of the up into the house plumbing. And I've got a little hole here, 3 5/8 so that it can nicely fit the 3-inch ABS pipe I have here, which is actually an exterior diameter 3.5. So 3 5/8 is pretty much perfect. Got a brand new hole saw just for that purpose. Nothing too expensive. As I mentioned already, I already have the pipe underneath and it is off center of the hole so that I can come at it and then bring it up through the bottom. This pipe's gonna come up and it's gonna just sit on top of that as short as I can make it so that we've got a slope. It's gotta make it over to somewhere over in here and be the drain. Actually, it's not that far. It's only gotta make it over to like right in here, but still. So I have a rough idea of what it's gonna look like, and plumbing is always the one where I get it done, it looks just fine, but it involves a lot of extra trips into town because I never get the right parts to begin with. A lot of what's behind me here is plumbing. In fact, there are 2 whole boxes right here. These 2 boxes are filled with parts. So hopefully they contain most all the parts that I need, but I just never am that great at guessing. I went through in my mind and on a piece of paper and I planned out what each of the fixture sets would look like to get it up into the attic, and then, you know, grabbed extras of some of the common connections to join it all into, you know, as few stacks as possible as far as what's permissible. We'll see how we do. So this being our 3 5/8 inch hole saw bit, that is perfect, as mentioned, for our holes where we're passing pipe through the floor or through the top of the wall. And I already got that one hollowed out with this guy, and then realized that I'm gonna need this guy instead. 4 1/4, 4 1/8, something like that. And I want this to sit as close to, you know, the bottom of that run as I can get it, so that I have any, you know, room that I need when we're over here. So one thing I will say is I love the design of these new ones. I had a very old hole saw bit set, and you had to like monkey on the inside here and do all kinds of stuff. Basically had to take this whole thing apart. On these new ones, you can just pull down, and if you can see that, these 2 knobs fit up into the cup, and then you can just rotate this thing off. It's super easy. Much, much better system. New tools are a wonderful thing, and I'm sure that's actually not that new, but it is new to me. This is the size that I already cut out in that spot, and in order to get this to recut that hole that I've already done, I'm just going to stick this chuck back in there. That'll allow a little bit of wiggle, but it's not going to go very far, and then I should be able to take that down in. The nice thing is I only want it to go one you know, chuck, 1 cut depth anyway, basically get through the top, because that's how far I need to take it in order to get this to seat in properly. So before I start drilling holes in the floor, I like to just get an idea of where exactly I'm landing down below. So I've just driven in a 3.5 inch nail here, and then one that's over there for the master bath toilet as well. There's our wall, and there's our drop down for our toilet. That's perfect. Long sweep Y kind of a thing, or Y, probably a Y, have it come out and then have this be the actual line that comes down. And then this is just gonna connect in with the toilet. So it's the last fixture entering that line. Over here, we have a problem. And this problem is my fault. So I did just double check the plans and I missed that that's supposed to be blocked out. So not a big deal. I am gonna have to cut that out, remove the screws that are into that joist up above. Since it is a pretty long floor and there is weight on it above, just to be sure, I am gonna take a board and jam it up against. All right, so this is what I finished it out to look like. And you can see there's the nail in this space. And it only called for it to be one crossboard, but these 2x12s that we had, and especially the scraps I had left over, have a tendency to have a split forming. And so I went ahead and gave it 2 extra pieces that were in good shape. And that's literally, I'm down to the last, all I have left is 6-inch chunks. So without having to buy another board, that's what I was able to do, but it is more than was required. So with each of these flanges, I went ahead and ran all the screws that had holes available. You should be good with just 4, but I wanted to make sure, not any extra cost really. And making sure that when you slot in the T-bolts, that not the open space, but that each of the end of the tracks is slightly past where you think they need to be crossways to hold the toilet. Last thing I'm going to do is, this is the toilet where I had to add in a cutout for a joist and then a block it across. So I'm going to go ahead and screw in down through the subfloor into the new blocking. It's like the next joist is over here, so I got one more to go. So we have our pipe here ready to go. I'm going to get it attached to the top first, and then this will slide down into the extra wide slot that I made through this board, and that will bring it to be more or less where I want it to sit as far as like up on the top of this stabilizing board. And once that is done and it's in place, then I can slot it in down there and join it in at the coupler I had to use. We would have been shy by about 1/4, 3/8 of an inch. And I just want to make sure we have sufficient grab on these. Just gonna lift it so that I can circle all the way around without getting my glue everywhere I don't want it to be. But it is sitting nicely on the bottom there. There we go. Nice turn in there, and then I can just hold it. So I do like to see the pipe spin. It helps make sure that the glue is spread. If you have less glue on one side, I always try and go generous. And a little bit leaking down is not solvent, it's glue, so it's not going to cause any real problems. Since we're sitting on the pipe, down here, we have about 1.5 inches of drop that we're still going to have on this. And we are above that top board, so it's just by 1/8 maybe. So we're going to go ahead and get this glue ready, and then we'll drop that in there. And then we just have to make sure that at the top it's pointed in the right direction. Give it some lift so I can get in here. Nice liberal coat of glue. Now it's just sliding in there really nice. So I just have to make sure that we are pointed straight out. And then we are good. So let's pretend for a moment that I'd used the correct flange. I actually threw down the wrong flange. I thought I was getting some that fit to a 3-inch pipe. They did not. They fit to a fitting. It fits inside of a fitting for the 3-inch size, whereas that one is the same size as the 3-inch fitting, which is not what I wanted. So I went ahead and I took those out, returned them, got these ones. And these ones also come with a test cap, which is great because that means I can install this now and I'm good to go for when we get to the point where we have to test head pressure. The other thing I didn't show, and I realized that I had this feeling like, man, you're doing something wrong, is that you're supposed to install these flush to the finished floor, but it's flush on top, not flush to the floor. So I went ahead and cut out some of the pieces of, this is a 1/4 inch, and the ones we're getting are the same depth or maybe a hair more, enough that the pipe will, move up and down just that 1/8 of an inch if it needs to. So we're good to go to get this one installed. And this one is the first floor, so it is glued in below. I'm gonna go ahead and get this screwed in at the height that I want. And then...
Yeah, I can show you the slugs. Stick them down, stick them down.
Very interesting looking little guy, isn't he?
I'll show you now.
So I'm gonna get this done. I'm tired of thinking on it, not really knowing what the heck I'm gonna do. Somewhere over in here, I'm thinking here is the shower, gonna come down, drain in. So I'm gonna Y, 3 to a 2, 2 for the shower, do the shower on its own vent. Come down here, it's gonna be 3-inch coming up, come over this way, come through, come out to meet that, keep going, come out, go over, I think to there, and then up, and that's the sink. So kind of a tight spot, kind of a messy thing, but I think I've got it figured out. Now we have this handy dandy table. I'm telling you, this is the perfect height for me to be able to do some work right up in here. So this guy is gonna come into here, this is gonna go to the wall, and this is gonna go up to the toilet, all right? So we gotta have a little bit of slope coming down. So we're just gonna go ahead and take that guy, run it around. I like to goop all the way around the ring, set her down. And yes, I'm very messy with this stuff. Give it a little twist, and I'm just gonna hold it for a count of 15, 20. But I do want it to stay bottomed out because I am shy on space, and I did measure it to be about right, maybe 1/8 less than what I thought it would be as far as the depth of these two together. This should basically be, and you can see I've kind of got this here to where I have a reference point, the words. It's not quite lined up with here, but it's pretty close. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that this is more or less lined up to those words so that when I put this on the wall, it's got a slight downward turn to it. And then that way, the waste will come through and go down and get out of here, and we should be good to go. Yep. I get this stuff wherever it shouldn't possibly even be able to go, it's where it ends up being. So again, we're gonna just turn it, twist it on, and it's gonna line up slightly off of level. About there, I think, so I'm gonna keep it. Just where they're just off centered. I almost put it the other way, that would have been real unfortunate. Don't want this thing going uphill. And reduce, I'm just gonna put that in right now. We know we're gonna take a 2-inch and put it into here. So I'm gonna go ahead and jam that bushing in there while we have all this down. Could have it be 1.5, but not if it is a toilet wet vent. Toilet needs to vent through 2-inch in the UPC. Just twist that in there and bottom it out. There we go. Find something to grab this thing. Well, yet again, almost just about had a heart attack there. So I got this out. Every time I gotta look closer. I got this out of a 3-inch by 2-inch, and that I was looking, I was like, that ain't no 2-inch. That is not. I don't know that I can clean that off, so it's just garbage now. Nope, these are both 3 by 1.5. Okay, so this one is in point of fact 3 by 2. Gotta check these things. Really excited when that sort of thing happens. Let's try this again here. See if I can get this going nice and easy, maybe. That's much better. Just about killed myself there. I was like, are you serious? 3 by 1.5. They don't really look the same, you know. 2 inches, a fair bit bigger than 1.5, but when you're as dumb as I am, sometimes these things happen. Yeah. I have a spline here. I'm just gonna mark that right there. Now your long sweeps, your Ys, legal on the horizontal. Your sanity would not have been. So that's why, even though it gives you it's a lot, you know, nice spacing, this actually worked out pretty good the way this is. I'm pretty happy with that. And I got to bring it over to here. It's not very far, but I do have to maintain slope. And I have, 4 inches up to the subfloor. I can make that happen. But that P-trap on the far side is gonna absolutely hug the floor, that's for sure. So, afraid of that. So what we're going to have to do instead is I'm just going to have to cut it, add it on this joint to it, which will probably add a 1/2 inch to 3/4. Yep, 1.5 inches. I'm going to probably go ahead and say I need to cut a full inch off of that. I'm just going to get this section kind of cleaned up a little bit. Then we're going to glue this way. We'll fit that piece in, and then we'll fit that last piece up into there. enough. Well, I have depleted every battery I have on the Metabo except for one. I have one of the bigger 36 volts that's still 4 bars, so all the rest are gone. So I'm gonna go ahead and call that a good day. Let me show you where we finished out here on the plumbing. So we got a standpipe in for the kitchen sink and the dishwasher. You can see that it's a little cockeyed. That pipe is under a little bit too much pressure. And I'm gonna go ahead and get a 22.5 elbow and put that in, and that will straighten that right out. We got this partialed. So the toilet and the sink are connected in above the floor, or up to the floor, I should say, and coming down. I have the hole cut for here, and everything under the floor is pretty much ready. So it's gonna be a 3 coming down, and then we're converting from 2 up. I need to get that hole cut, and then we've got a little piece I'm starting to finagle together. So that's a shower. And essentially, this piece is gonna sit kind of like this, up into that space to where the sanity is up here, and then you've got your P-trap catching that. It's gonna kind of sit up there like that. It's probably a way that I could have done this where the shower, you know, wouldn't have needed to have its own vent, but I wasn't sure what that would look like. And it's not a big deal for me to run that one up. I think it's just gonna be a 1.5 inch, but I have it able to be 2, and then I may try and tie in the washing machine's going to be here in the utility room, and there's no sink. We wanted more space for basically upper storage. I may try and tie that through the wall there. I think they're both 1.5s. Well, I know the shower is, and I think the sink is, and I think together their DFUs probably would only require 2. So I may do that. We'll have to see. Feels like a pretty good day's work. I'm pretty pleased with what I was able to get knocked out here as far as plumbing goes. I'm not fast, and there was a lot of me thinking and how do I do that kind of a thing, because this isn't something I do all the time. I have done 2 houses worth mostly of ABS drainage DWV before, and I have done 2 houses worth and maybe 2.5 of water supply, but that doesn't make me a plumber, and that doesn't make me experienced enough to know what I'm doing with all the parts and fittings. Every time I have to remind myself, you know, you can't use a sanity in the horizontal. You have to make sure that, you know, you've got a certain amount of angle to all your pipes, and, you know, just refamiliarize myself even with what is available. And definitely gonna be, I kind of took on one of the harder ones. I think the next one should be a little easier. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button for more, and if you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and leave a comment. It really helps us out a lot. These videos take hours of our time to make, and once we hit 1,000 subscribers, YouTube will start sharing their revenue with us. See you next time.